Hello, Wildcat friends. Welcome back to another edition of the RISD School Zone. Today, we're going to talk about something that everybody hates. Now, you might have guessed it. We're going to talk about taxes. Now, I know that's not the way to become popular, and that's not my goal here. But I'm not asking for anything today. Just trying to give you a little bit of information. Trying to share some facts and maybe some perspective as well. For example, did you know that the RISD tax rate is the lowest that it's been in over 25 years? It really is. Let's look at this chart. This chart shows all the tax rates for RISD over the last 25 years. And if you look on the far right side, our current tax rate is 75 cents. And that's rounded to the nearest penny. And that's 75 cents per $100 of valuation for your property, minus any exemptions that you have, like a homestead exemption that would come off before that figure. But our current rate is 75 cents. If you look all the way back to the left-hand side of this chart to the year 2000, the tax rate that year in 2000 was $1.66, 91 cents, almost $1 more than our current tax rate. And you can see the trend line there. It's just gone down, down, down over those 25 years. So you may ask yourself, well, how in the world does my tax bill keep going up if my tax rate has gone down? That's because the other factor that drives the tax rate is your property value. And if you look at this next chart, you can see that the property value has gone up, up, up over the last 25 years. This chart actually depicts the median price for a single family home over the last 25 years. These are actual prices, not just appraised value. If you look at the blue line, you can see that that's the U.S. trend line. So all over the country, property values have gone up significantly. And then the red line is just here in Texas. And if you want to see something closer to home, this slide shows the average market value of homes within the boundaries of Rains ISD from 2010 to present. And you can see it's a very similar trajectory. If you've bought a house over the last 5 to 10 years, you know that prices have gone up dramatically from where they used to be. So that's a huge deciding factor. The other thing that I want to look at today is how the Rains ISD tax rate compares to other districts in our area. So let's look at this next chart. This next one shows just that, our tax rate compared to some other districts around us. And these are other schools from the surrounding counties, most of the schools in the surrounding counties. On the left-hand side, you have the Rains ISD rate of 75 cents. And then moving to the right, you see the rates for other districts. Many of them over $1. Some of them as high as $1.16, $1.24, $1.26. So Rains ISD rate is actually quite a bit lower than most districts. In fact, if you were to look all across the state, the tax rate for Rains ISD is actually in the 10th percentile. So the 10% of the lowest tax rates in the whole state. That's pretty significant. Now you may wonder, why is there such a discrepancy and where does this come from? And that takes us right into the next chart we're going to look at. The lighter portion of blue at the top is your interest and sinking tax rate. That is the amount of your tax rate that goes to pay your debts. Well, how do you accrue debt in a school business? Well, you have bonds that are passed by the community to build buildings or to do other major projects. And that's how you end up with bond payments. And those bond payments are paid out of this INS tax rate. Now you can see Rains ISD, our INS rate is 9 cents. That's again rounded to the nearest penny. That is to pay for the bond that was passed in 2008 to build the elementary school, as well as some other projects around the district. If you look at the other schools, you can see that many of them have a higher tax rate as far as INS, and part of that goes that their community has voted to build new buildings and things of that nature that drive that tax rate up. The other portion of the rate, the dark blue, that's the M&O tax rate. M&O stands for maintenance and operations. So basically, these are the funds that go to everything else other than your debt service. It goes to run your entire school, everything from your payroll, your salaries that you pay, to the buses, to the books, to keeping the lights on, the electricity, all the things that go into paying for the operation of a school is in that blue band there. On the different schools in our area, there's basically two different amounts on the maintenance and operation. One is 67 cents, one is 76 cents. And you may wonder, well, how does that happen? And that comes in, some schools have passed what's called a TRE, a tax ratification election, and others haven't. Rains ISD has attempted to pass the TRE a few times, and it has not passed. That's why our rate is a little bit lower than some of the other districts around. But all those things combine and play into our total tax rate, which is 75 cents, which again is one of the lower ones both here in our area and around the state. Now, does all this information make you just love taxes and want to go out quickly and pay your tax bill? Obviously, it doesn't. It doesn't make me like taxes anymore either. But I hope that it has given you just a little bit of information, maybe things that you didn't know before, and some perspective. As always, I appreciate the support that you give to the district here. We have such a great community that supports our schools. And until next time, go Wildcats.